Hi, my name's David Blackmore. Welcome to this storytelling time about childhood memories growing up in Regent Park. Today's story is about a secret place where my friends and I used to go, and I know that many of you also used to go there. It's called Bare Ass Beach. It's a muddy river, a rope swing, and the summer we became more than just kids. Thanks for joining me. The weekends didn't belong to the city. Not really. They belonged to its forgotten edges, the crumbling seams where nature pressed up against rusted fences and concrete bones, where boys like us, half wild, half wounded, could slip away. That's where we found Bare Ass Beach. It wasn't a beach, not really. It was a muddy, weed-choked stretch of shoreline tucked beneath the massive stone arches of the Bloor Viaduct, just past the reach of grown-up eyes and rules. We called it Bare Ass, not because it was clever, but because we stripped down to our drawers, or nothing at all, and hurled ourselves into the Dawn River like it was the Amazon. The Dawn was no paradise, smelled like dead fish and motor oil, carried garbage along with us as we swam, and stung our skin if we stayed in too long. But to me, Stewy, Mousey, and Smiley, it was holy ground, our escape, our secret. Getting there was a rite of passage in itself. First, the barbed wire fences behind the abandoned rail yard, the kind that dared you to tear your shirt or leave a strip of skin. Then came the lots filled with broken bricks and old tires and cars stripped down to skeletons. Last came the train trestle, a long, narrow stretch of steel and wood slats suspended over the river. Crossing it meant trusting the rails wouldn't hum, that the world would hold still just long enough. That summer, the one that changed everything, the heat had baked Toronto into a pressure cooker. Regent Park felt like it was sweating through its own skin, and tempers were tight. So we escaped more often, barefoot, shirtless, free. Stewy always led the way, older than me by a year. He walked like he owned the dirt. Smiley, who rarely smiled, he tagged close, always scanning the horizon like he was expecting someone to chase us. Mousey, he was small, twitchy, and faster than all of us. I was just glad they let me come. We'd run along the trestle single file, arms out for balance, never looking down at the river until we made it across, except that day. I remember that sound first, a low rumble, like distant thunder. Then the rails began to shake. Mousey screamed something, but the train was already rounding the bend. Too close, way too close. Jump! Stewy yelled. And we didn't argue. I didn't look. I didn't breathe. I just threw my body into the sky and hoped that the river would catch me. The water hit like a slap, cold and hard. I went under fast, the darkness folding around me, then up again, gasping, blinking. The train roared overhead like an angry god, shaking the trestle as it passed. Then laughter, deep and wild and alive. Stewy surfaced next to me, grinning like a maniac. Smiley and Mousey popped up too, coughing and whooping. We treaded water, eyes wide, hearts pumping and punching our ribs. We could have died. We knew it, and it made us feel more alive than anything ever had. After, we dragged ourselves to the caves. Not real caves, just leftover concrete foundations from some old industrial ruin, landfill. But to us, they were a castle, just leftover concrete foundations from some old industrial ruin. We dried off by a tiny fire. Mousey started with matches from his old man's drawer. The smoke curled up into the humid air, and the city felt 1,000 miles away. Smiley found an old tin and drummed a beat. Stewy tossed rocks into the river, counting the skips. Mousey sat cross-legged, whispering a story about a creature that lived in the river, half man, half carp. I lay back on the slab, watching stars blink awake above the viaduct, wondering if the world looked different from up there. No parents, no cops, no noise, but the river and our own voices. We weren't tough kids, not really. But we were becoming something, testing ourselves, daring the world to notice us. We talked about girls, about fights, about what we'd do when we got out of the city, even though none of us knew where we'd go. For those few hours, we weren't poor kids from a broken neighborhood. We were kings of the dawn. When the fire burned low and the moon slid behind the clouds, we headed home, soaked and muddy, pants still dripping, laughter echoing behind us. Our secret spot would still be there tomorrow, waiting. We didn't know it yet, but summers, they don't last. Rivers, they change courses, and boys grow up. But that night, at Bare Ass Beach, we belong to something timeless, something real.